My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. Today's Gospel provokes a mix of feelings when you read it. It's scary, but it's also funny. I thought it's scary because you have two men who were possessed by the devils who came from the tombs and they met Jesus. And the account says that they were so savage that no one could travel by that road. It's also funny because, overwhelmed by the presence of Jesus, the devils asked Jesus to send them to the pigs who were feeding nearby. Can you imagine, of all destinations, to the swine? So the poor pigs, they didn't even have the time to oink oink at the unwelcome intruders. They were so overwhelmed that the whole herd of pigs rushed down the steep bank into the sea where they drowned. In this account, we are faced with the reality of the devil. The devil is not a myth. He exists. He is real. And he can do damage to people, physically, morally, and even spiritually. In all sorts of ways, the devil inflicts pain and troubles to people, and he can seduce them to turn against God. I'm reminded of a unique case of Pope Benedict XVI defeating the devil. It all started with the story of Charles, a French nobleman who began to feel bad after a spiritual retreat in Burgundy in France. Charles was a normal and successful man from a wealthy family and from a noble heritage. So the morning of the spiritual retreat, he assaulted with unusual strength someone who was on the retreat with him, who had just approached him, who was concerned by his reaction to the prayer. And so Charles assaulted this man. After that, he went through endless appointments with psychiatrists, with specialists, and with priests. But sadly, no one could explain his situation, and it was driving him and his family crazy. He would go into trances inexplicably, and nothing and nobody could free him. And the voice that came from the body of Charles identified itself by saying, "I am the prince of the world." And then that devil even challenged the experienced exorcist who was attending to Charles. The devil told the exorcist, "You are no match for me." So the exorcist asked the devil, "Who then?" And the infernal voice replied, "The Pope or a bishop." So the exorcist felt that he was losing the spiritual battle because he was just a simple exorcist. He is not the Pope and he's not the bishop. So he felt he was losing that battle with Satan on the battleground of the suffering body of Charles. So he consulted the famous exorcist of Rome, who encouraged him not to let himself be fooled or be frightened by the devil, who was telling him that he was no match for him. And yet Satan insisted that only the Pope could force him out of the body of Charles. And Charles' situation got worse. So consequently, they counseled him to write directly to the Pope at that time, Pope Benedict, and the letter made it to the Pope. And the answer arrived a week later, signed by the secretary of Pope Benedict, promising that the Pope would pray for the possessed man. And true enough, Benedict XVI offered masses for the intention of that man's liberation. So sometime later, the exorcist confirmed that Charles had been liberated. And during the last exorcism, Charles gave out a shout of freedom and he got up happy. And the only explanation is the powerful prayer of the Pope, which forced Satan to his knees. But it turned out that the parents of Charles, unknown to him, had made a diabolic pact and offered him as a baby as tribute in exchange for power and money. Then there's a similar episode also involving Pope Benedict, which took place in May of 2009. On this occasion, the Pope helped cure two possessed young men, Marco and Giovanni, who were taken to St. Peter's Square because they seemed not to improve despite the prayers and the rite of exorcism. So during a general audience on a Wednesday, when the Pope Mobile drew near them, they began to have convulsions and to have a strange look in their eyes. Then the Pope got out of the jeep and greeted the crowd. At that point, the possessed young men shook and they drooled. So one of the women who were helping shouted, "Your Holiness, Your Holiness, we're here." So the Pope turned toward them, observing from a distance, unperturbed. He raised his arm and he blessed them. And right then and there, the two possessed men felt a violent shake and they were thrown back 3 yards. The young man began to cry, and as the Pope Mobile drove away, both came back to themselves. So you see, the devil exists, but the power of Jesus over him is absolute. As we read in today's gospel, they are mortally afraid of Jesus. They became very desperate in the presence of Jesus that they pleaded to be sent to an herd of swine. So yes, we recognize the truth that devils exist, but we're also comforted by the truth that they are afraid of God. So Jesus, help us not to forget this truth. Because how often in the Gospels you encountered the evil one. And in every encounter, the evil one is defeated and humiliated. Like in today's Gospel, the devils even begged for a kind of annihilation for themselves rather than for them to face the power of Jesus. This is the truth, that evil is no match to God. So let's choose to side with God. Today, let us tell Jesus that we want to choose him over evil. We want to choose him all the time. Jesus, help me to cast out sin from my life. But I cannot do it on my own. I need your help. And just like the possessed men who longed to be freed from their torment, I also long to defeat sin in my life. Jesus, give me the strength that I need over my passions and over the temptations of the devil. Because in our daily lives, we too are experiencing demonic attacks in the form of strong fears or of negative feelings. But with Jesus at our side, those attacks are powerless. He never abandons us in our moments of temptation and sinfulness. Just as Jesus cast out in one go many devils from the demoniacs in today's gospel, Jesus does the same to you and to me. Like when we are sorry for our sins and we confess them, Jesus forgives us no matter how many or big those sins may be. Every sin is wiped out. Our sins won't even need to hide inside pigs. They're just wiped out by the power of Jesus in confession. So when we have Jesus in our lives, the devil can do absolutely nothing to us. We are untouchable by the devil's power if we have Jesus in our lives. So we need to have more of you, Jesus, in our lives today. That's why we try to connect and reconnect with you in prayer. Because the closer we get to Jesus, the stronger we are against the devil, and the more we have peace and serenity. Jesus, with you close by my side, I have nothing to fear from the forces of evil in the world. You deliver me from all evil. Help me to trust in your divine power in my life. And let's also stay close to our Heavenly Mother Mary, she who by her humility and from the first moment of her Immaculate Conception crushed the proud head of the devil. Mary, our Mother, strengthen our resolve to choose Jesus at all times. Protect us from the temptation to choose evil. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help to put them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.